Hey guys, so I just want to preface this next video that you're going to watch. I actually called Taylor Bass. I know his name is Tyler Bass, so just take that into account when you're watching the video. Sorry, Tyler, you're just getting a bunch of bad beats this week. Don't know what to tell you. Welcome to Poker Samadhi. Today is Saturday, January 27th, and I am taking the liberty to talk about the game tomorrow. So Kansas City is playing the Ravens. This is going to be a headbanger. But before I talk about that, which actually I'm not going to talk about that, I want to talk about something that really made me think about from bad beat to breakthrough, which is, what I talk about a lot here, which was last week's game between Kansas City and the Buffalo Bills. And as many of you know, I'm sure a lot of you saw this game. Poor Tyler Bass. He was the field goal kicker, and I'm sure many of you know that he missed the field goal, and it was huge for many reasons. But the main thing I want to talk about is the bad beat, because that is truly a bad beat. Missing that field goal, which would have put the Bills forward and then gotten them to the national championship playoffs, is really horrible. And I don't know if a lot of you read the news, but this past week I was reading on my iPhone that he was being bullied all week long on social media. And I thought, wow, you don't even think about that, and it's like so horrible. And I felt really bad for him. But then it was interesting because I said, wow, that's really a bad beat. I mean, the weather certainly played a part in it, but I want to talk about how he handled it in a second because I think it's great. But I was reading that Taylor Swift, who of course, we have this secret weapon called Taylor Swift, and the Swifties, because she's dating Kelsey, she felt so bad for him, and I guess the Swiftie fans did, that they wound up donating $270,000 to his cat charity. So, isn't that great? Out of a really bad situation, something really good came out of it. And I think that is such a lesson, right? So that even when something bad happens, something good can happen. And I know this is just sort of in a vacuum, and it's kind of a really oddball thing, but I wanted to look at how was the kicker handling this. And in this article that I read, I think it was on Sports Illustrated, they interviewed him, and he basically said, look, I'm in the game, these things happen, you do your best, but he said, look, it's on me. He basically took responsibility for the fact that he missed the field goal. And this is why it's so important to, when you have a bad beat, make sure that you take responsibility for what's occurring, because, circumstances are going to happen that are beyond your control. Things are going to occur outside, your ability to control them. And so what you want to do, I think, to move from a bad beat to a breakthrough is, first of all, acknowledge that something went wrong, right? Something really happened that is bad, and it could be an outlier. It could be a freak thing. It just could be that you did your best and it just didn't work out. So, and don't look to start blaming the world. This is where losers really operate, is they blame the dealer. They blame, I'm talking about poker, obviously. They blame the weather. They blame the circumstances. They blame the ground. He could have blamed, the guy that, gave him the ball to kick over, into the, in between the posts. And he didn't. He said, look, it's on me. And so I think once you take responsibility for what's happening, you can move on. And so this was just a great, example of that. So I want to tell you about something that happened to me in a poker hand recently, because this is the same exact thing that I try to do when I'm playing poker. And the person that really kind of inspired me is TJ Cloutier, who is a 6-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner. Great guy. He's now in his 80s, but the wisdom that I'll tell you at the end of this, which is his quote, really helped me. So a few weeks ago, I was in a hand. I won't get into all of the details, but I was on the button. I had the stone cold nuts, and I was playing the flush. So I had King X. I don't remember what my X was at this point, but I think I had a King 7 of clubs. Guy raised from under the gun. This is a very small 1-2 game. He raised to 20. I decided to call because I'm on the button. I'm playing my hand. The plan for my hand is to hit clubs with an ace on the board, right? The ace of clubs. So the flop comes out. It's 2 clubs. The ace did not come out on the flop, but I have a good draw and I have a king. So he leads out. I re-raise. He calls. The turn comes and it's a club. It's the ace of clubs. And I'm like, great, there it is. Now I've got the king high flush. He checks. I bet about 70% of the pot. Now, mind you, all the money's going in this hand because we have like 250 left. He shoves all in. So I snap call. I call. He turns over a set of aces. I turn over the nut flush. The dealer deals a paired up board, deals a 7, which paired up the board. And so he gets the full house. So I'm like, I played the entire hand perfectly, made my hand, made the nut high flush, and then the river brings, right, and this happens all the time in poker, as we know, the river brings, the flush, the full house for him. So he wins the hand. So I get up, I don't want to rebuy because I'm really pissed, and of course I'm a little tilted. And so I go home and I'm like, this happens a lot. So I'm like, okay, let's regroup. Look, I was in the hand. I played the hand the best I could. I did my, I got all the money in, and then of course the river happens. And those are circumstances beyond my control. So look, I could look to say, oh my God, it's the dealer. I can blame the dealer. I could, blame the other player. How's he going to get away from a set of aces? He's not. Make a long story short, I'm taking responsibility for the hand. It's one hand, one occurrence, one event. I'm a poker player. Just like the football player, Taylor Bass is a football player. It's not like he's going to give up and throw in the towel. And I mean, he's being bullied in front of the entire world, right? Next year, he'll show up. Whether he shows up on the Bills is another thing. Wherever he shows up, he'll be playing football. He'll still be a kicker in the morning, is my point. So my point is, I'm still a poker player. I'm still going to be a poker player in the morning. And so here's the quote that TJ Cloutier basically said when he was interviewed after the main event. He was heads up with Chris Ferguson. He had the best hand on the flop, the best hand on the turn, and on the river, it gave Chris Ferguson the winning hand, by the way, to win the bracelet and $1.5 million in the main event. Okay? At the end, they interviewed him, and of course the dealer, dealt the winning card so that it made Chris Ferguson win the hand. And they interviewed him and they said, oh my God, can you believe the dealer did that? And he said, look, it's not the dealer's fault, right? The dealer is powerless. And I thought that was great because this is not life. Look, the weather is powerless, right? The dealer is powerless. This is life. Things are going to happen. So he took responsibility for that. He went on to continue to play poker and, got other bracelets actually after that. Was a winning poker player, has a whole career as a poker player. I'm still going to be a poker player. I'm still going to do what I do in life. And the kicker's still going to be a kicker. So you know what? How do you go from bad beat to breakthrough? Acknowledge that the thing happened, whatever the bad beat is. Take responsibility for it. Own up to it. You know what? You were there, you did it, you own it. Nobody really had it happen to you, right? Life doesn't happen to you. You happen to life. So you know what? Once you take responsibility, own up to it, be authentic with yourself, go back to the drawing board if you need to, analyze like hell. How could you have played this better? Could you have done a better job? Was there another way to play? There are many things to look at. And if you come up with the fact that, look, I learned something from this and something positive can come out of it, great. In this case, something outside of even what Taylor Bass could have even thought about happening, something good came out of it. And I promise you, my game will get better. TJ Cloutier went on and became, a WSOP Hall of Fame poker player. Good things can come out of bad beats is what I'm saying. So at any rate, wishing Kansas City a lot of luck tomorrow against the Ravens. We'll see what happens. Let's hope they take advantage of the bad beat that occurred to Taylor Bass. And we'll be back to you soon. And don't forget, play your best life. Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Bye.